Hey guys, we cannot believe that so much time has passed already, but exactly 10 years ago, on 23rd June 2016, the British people voted to leave the EU. So now we asked ourselves, what impact did Brexit actually have on UK citizens? And is there any chance that one day the UK might return to the EU? Let's get into it.
I call Farage Mr. Disaster. And I think that also our British friends should call him Mr. Disaster. The illegal migration has doubled since UK left the EU. The issue of rejoining is on the table. That means that our model is still very attractive and is still seen as one of the solutions and not of the problem. So I think that the extreme right has understood that to put as a proposal in an election to leave the EU is very bad proposal.
Our guest, Sandro Gozi, is a member of the European Parliament for Renew Europe. As chair of the EU-UK Parliamentary Partnership Assembly, he leads the dialogue with the UK after Brexit. Gozi highlights the catastrophic effects of Brexit for UK citizens and advocates for strengthening the cooperation between EU and UK, from security and defence to migration. As previous advisor to Commission Presidents Prodi and Barroso and as Secretary General of the European Democratic Party, he is a prominent voice shaping future EU-UK relations.
Sandro, let's take politics aside and discuss about the concrete impact of Brexit on the UK citizen.
Well, I mean, on the UK citizens, what a disaster. It was disaster because all the figures are negative since Brexit. If you start with the students, of course, they have much less opportunities. There were around 10,000 students from UK who regularly every year used to come to the European University through Erasmus program, of course. That is gone. Sterling has lost 10% of its value. The loss for the jobs, they are estimated between around 1.8 million. The overall British economy has shrunk by 5% according to the estimate. 27 billion euro lost in trade. And also a trade which has dramatically declined between UK and EU, and which has never been replaced by trade flows towards other countries or regions of the world. One of the promises of the Brexiteers was that they wanted Britain to go global, to become global. Boris Johnson used to talk about global Britain. And of course they have tried and they've signed some trade agreements with Australia or with other partners. But I mean, the impact of these agreements on the trade flows of UK has been minimal compared to what they lost by leaving the single market. So I would say that it has been a major disaster for UK.
Yeah, and if Brexit has had indeed such a negative impact, how come that he was able to win at the referendum?
It was able to win for several reasons. First of all, because of a mistake which all the political class in UK, almost all, and most, if not all the media, have done for over 40 years. Because for 40 years, Brussels has always been presented as a place where causing problems, trouble, bureaucracy, everything was Brussels' fault, a lot of negative rhetoric, a lot of propaganda. And especially in UK, this wasn't typical of UK, but especially in UK, everything good was a British victory in Brussels, everything bad was Brussels' fault. So I mean, if you do Euro bashing between Monday and Saturday, and then all of a sudden on Sunday you have the vote if they want to remain in Europe or not, in the EU or not, it's very unlikely that they will say, of course we want to stay. So this is the structural historical problem. Then there is also, as in any election nowadays or in any referendum, a lot of propaganda, disinformation, false stories which have been told, such as the story that UK citizens would have benefit from with more £386 more per week for the NHS, the National Health System. This was clearly one of the false story, one of the lies which have been promoted with the red bus with written £386 million with which Boris Johnson was gallivanting around the UK. So I mean, there has been also a lot of disinformation. There have been heavy interferences from Russia, which has also helped to spread, especially through the social networks, the disinformation. So I mean, there was also a lot of lies which were told, and this has been, in my view, a decisive factor for the Leave victory.
And now, 10 years later, are these negative effects recognized in the UK? So do they say,
yes,
yeah, this happened?
Yes, according to all the opinion polls, at least 63%, but even more, and certainly more than 73% of the young people under 25, they regret the choice of Brexit. So they think that Brexit, it has been a failure. And I think that it's more and more obvious if you look at the figures, but also if you look, at the lost opportunities, that UK Brexit has been a failure. Now, it is much more difficult to cross the borders, and every summer the UK tourists realized that they were much better off when they were EU citizens, and now we have both introduced a system of where you have to pay to cross the border, sort of ESTA style, US ESTA style, and that is going to be very shocking. It's already being very shocking for the UK citizens to have to queue up in the airport, in the train, and in the channel. The UK artists are paying a heavy price because they've loved the free movement of services and of people. So they are confronted with 27 systems, 27 bureaucracies. So and I could go on and on with this example. And of course, it's much more difficult for the British business to provide goods and services. So there is an awareness of the fact that it has been a major mistakes. Then of course, I was referring to the youngsters. It is clear that one of the reasons why the Leave won, it was that young people, very young people, did not show to the polls. They didn't vote in 2016. The under 25 and the first voters was the part of the society which voted less.
Okay.
And it is clear that that was a major mistake.
Yeah.
I don't think that the youths in the UK would repeat this mistake. So, but yes, there is a growing awareness that Brexit has been a failure, but the biggest failure was the promise made by Farage and Johnson that Brexit would have solved the problem of illegal migration. And the illegal migration has doubled since UK left the EU. So also from the migration point of view, which was one of the main reasons that has persuaded a good chunk of the voters to choose to leave, it has been a blatant failure. And now UK is very keen in trying to build up bridges and cooperation, and they signed again an agreement with France recently, which updated another agreement between UK and France, because it's clear that they realize that you can be more effective in managing migration and fighting against smugglers if you cooperate internationally, not if you isolate yourself.
And the question for me, the really important one, is if these lessons learned are also learned in Europe, especially in the EU, by parties who are anti-EU or who are EU skeptical.
I think the lesson I've been learned, I remember that on the 23rd of June 2016, I remember because I was in government in Italy, and we had the eve of the General Affairs Council in Luxembourg. I remember that night, by the way, the night I was in contact with Cameron and his chief of staff, Rejoining, which, by the way, after has been ambassador both in Paris and Rome. At 5 o'clock in the morning, we arrived at the Remain had lost. And I remember that morning on TV and on the social media, Marine Le Pen pleading for Brexit, Giorgia Meloni and Matteo Salvini and Beppe Grillo pleading for Italexit. They were all celebrating, cheering up. And now they are much shyer about the issue of exiting. Nobody speaks about exiting. Giorgia Meloni doesn't speak about leaving the euro anymore either. So I think that the extreme right has understood that to put as a proposal in an election to leave the EU is very bad proposal. That it is clear that they are profoundly anti-European, and they got now a much, from their perspective, more effective strategy, because they do not put in question formally the issue of leaving the EU, but they try to hollow the EU from inside. But certainly, I think that most of them, not everybody, but most of them have learned the lesson, and they are much more cautious, because the voters wouldn't follow.
Mm-hmm. And can this lesson also be expanded in the sense that with Brexit we understood the value of the single market, looking at the negative impacts, but expanding the economic integration of the EU, like there is more awareness of how much further benefit could bring to the average EU citizen?
Yeah, I think that, it is clear that for example, now we talk a lot about security. By the way, security is one of the factors that is bringing closer again EU and UK. But it is clear that the public opinion, without being an expert of international affairs or European issues, realize that confronted with threats which are very big, much bigger than the size and the capabilities of one single state, being together and working together is much better. And this is why all the opinion polls, I'm not a big fan of the Eurobarometer, but still it's there and is very consistent in saying that I think that more than 60-65%, if not probably 70% of the European citizens would like to have a European army now. So it is clear that there is an awareness that to have more security, to have more prosperity, being together is much better than going alone. And I think that the bad experience of Brexit is also consolidating this conviction. This is what I am convinced of.
Yeah, also because a common defense, a common security, common army will lead to saving billions of euro per year at the European level per year, which then can be translated in investment in education or innovation.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how much is the public opinion already aware of this, but certainly it is an argument that we must emphasize and we must explain in very simple terms. It is clear that it is clear also that we have to do more for our security, and it is clear that if we want to do more for our security, the more we do it together, the less are the overlappings, duplication, the more is effectiveness, and also you can spend probably less and better. Or in any case, if you spend more, you spend with much more effectiveness and the results.
And I think the UK itself has understood that indeed more cooperation with Europe, with the EU, is beneficial. And we hear now lately again more news about possible cooperation agreements in the different areas, more integration into the single market.
Yeah, the UK is very keen in strengthening the current partnership. For those who listen to us, when Brexit was decided, we have been negotiating for a long time, and now we have a trade and cooperation agreement, which is the most advanced trade and cooperation agreement that we have in the world with the UK. And we have also recently we've started to do bilateral summit. The first was held in London May last year. The next one should be held in Brussels end of June, beginning of July. In the first summit, we have also decided to work within a security and defense cooperation framework. So, I mean, there are regular meeting between Kaja Kallas and her counterpart and the foreign office. There is a lot of exchange of information, exchange of analysis. So also on the security field, we work more together. But it is clear that all this has limit, and the UK government would like to do more. But to do more, there are two issues to discuss. First, they during the electoral campaign at the beginning of the mandate, the Keir Starmer cabinet had set some red lines and saying we want to do more with our European partners, but we don't want to rejoin the single market, we don't want to rejoin the custom union, we don't want a free movement of people. And it is clear that we can still strengthen our cooperation, for example, to ease trade, to simplify the phytosanitary standard, but if we really want to take a bold step ahead, we should go beyond these red lines. And I think that this is clearer and clearer in London. And there are more and more of my colleagues in Westminster, they are saying at the next British election, general elections, which will be 2029, if I'm not mistaken, we have to put at the center of the debate whether we want to rejoin or not. So already the issue of rejoining is on the table. And my message, and also another option, is that if really UK wants to upgrade its partnership, we can do still a considerable number of things within this trade and cooperation agreement, and by developing this new partnership in, for example, I propose successfully to create a digital forum where we can discuss about digital and artificial intelligence issues. So, I mean, there are still things that we can do. We have UK has rejoined Erasmus, has rejoined the Erasmus program. So there is but if we really want to upgrade our relationship, UK should decide to rejoin the single market, but that means to rejoin the four freedoms: services, capital, goods, and workers and people. And in my view, UK should be one of the protagonists of the creation of the new European Security Council, which is a structure where a group of EU countries, together with like-minded countries such as UK, Norway, Canada, create a sort of a new security and partnership architecture in Europe. So in my view, these should be the main goals that they should pursue, unless they really want to re-engage in a negotiation for a new membership. And I think that we should be very open if they want to start these negotiations.
Yeah, also because the UK rejoining the European Union will be a very powerful message.
Would be a big victory for the EU.
Yeah,
but not against the UK. Would be a big victory for EU model. Because after that, such a big important country like the UK, I mean, one of the major economies in the world, a member of the Security Council with a nuclear power, with a huge financial services sector, leave the Union and then decide to rejoin when all the Western Balkans want to join, Ukraine want to join, Moldova want to join. Maybe Iceland could decide to join. I mean, that means that our model is still very attractive and is still seen as one of the solution and not of the problem. So I mean, I think that for the EU model, for the model of political and economic integration, would be a major victory.
Yeah, it could also change the balance of power in the parliament, possibly towards more pro-European parties.
Yeah, that I mean, yes. although I mean, in UK, as far as I'm concerned, there was only one party which was truly pro-European in sense of integrationist, which are the Lib Dem. Both the Labour and the Conservative, there were some very pro-European, other have been always very pragmatic. But I mean, certainly UK has played, or could play an important role.
And now in these negotiations between the UK and the EU, how can we imagine the atmosphere? Is it like very constructive, or is it more a waiting attitude to see what happens in the next UK elections? How is it?
Well, it depends. For us, as member of the European Parliament and member of the House of Commons, the Lord Westminster, the cooperation is very smooth. Also because there is a very few number of Eurosceptics in the delegation, in the UK delegation, in the Parliamentary Assembly, which I chair, together with my colleague from Westminster, Masha de Cordova. So, I mean, there are only 3 Tories. One of these was David Frost, which was a negotiator of Brexit. Of course, they are against any, upgrading on any enhancement of our cooperation, but all the other are in favor, and the cooperation is pretty smooth also because even the extreme right and extreme left groups in the European Parliament are very keen in re-engaging with the UK. The cooperation between Whitehall, the administration, and the European Commission is going relatively well. The Commission insists a lot on the full implementation on what has already been agreed. So Trade and Cooperation Agreement, the Windsor Framework, which is a framework which concerns Northern Ireland, EU citizens' rights, so I mean on this the attitude of the Commission and also of some of us is first let's implement what we have signed. We have taken some commitment, let's implement the corresponding rules and let's make it happen. And this would give even stronger credibility to all the new issues that we put on the table. Then it is clear that, I mean, it depends on UK. Because we have been asked, it is clear that a negotiation for a new membership would start not with the opting out that they had. I mean, UK had a tailor-made suit, so they've been really mad. It's been really madness to leave the EU because they had really a membership sur mesure, tailor-made, bespoke. And now, I mean, they would be considered as a new applicant. So there wasn't the opting out on migration, on Schengen, probably not even on the Euro thing. So, I mean, that we will start like that. And this certainly is something which is on the table. But the other issue is that Farage and the Reform Party are getting very strong, and there is certainly in the back of the minds of someone say, I mean, should we really re-engage in a negotiation with the uncertainty that all this work would be lost because Farage gets win the election and gets the key of 10 Downing Street? Some maybe they think so, but this can be something that is a little bit going around. But we, as a member of the European Parliament, we would be ready to engage in negotiation for the UK membership. And I think that also, having said that, wouldn't be a tailor-made membership, but should start with all the chapters open. I think would be even faster because after all there is still 43 years, I think, for more than 40 years of legislation, of EU legislation, and even in 10 years many things have happened. There is still a high degree of convergence. So I mean, certainly the negotiation would be difficult negotiation, but I would say that we would start with already a basis of common legislation and also with administration then, even if 10 years has passed, knows what does it mean being a member of the EU. And that would be a little bit the big difference between a UK application for membership and a ordinary third country.
And there, I mean, considering the disaster of Brexit from an economic perspective, business, trade,
and political perspective,
and political, and also migration, like promises not delivered, What do you make of Farage consensus in the UK? How is it possible? Is twisting the numbers, is twisting the narrative?
I call Farage Mr. Disaster. And I think that also our British friends should call him Mr. Disaster. I think that his responsibility haven't been emphasized enough in the British and English domestic debate. Probably because the Labour has a big majority, but it's not solid in the sense that in the constituency, many constituency, part of the Labour voters was in favour of Brexit. So they've been very cautious, but I think that they should do much more in recalling the promises and the lies of Farage and say, he promised you this, he lied, he's a liar, how can you trust a liar, how can you vote a liar, how can you want a liar to become your new Prime Minister? I think that really they do not insist enough. Then Farage say that, of course, Brexit doesn't work because Tories and Labour have betrayed Brexit because they haven't really made it happen, and so with him, there is a lot of propaganda, but it is very easy to counteract this argument. I will start from migration. I will start that, he's gaining votes on migration, but I will say that most of the problem of migration derives from the fact that we are alone in dealing migration, and this is because you wanted us to be alone, because you said that we have been more effective in dealing on migration, exiting, leaving the EU. So this hasn't been done enough. And then, of course, there is also a lot of typical propaganda, effective social media use by the populists, like Farage is, and also is exploiting a lot of anger, and is pushing on. Stimulating, provoking the anger. Amplify the anger. And this is one of the reasons. Then the economic situation is not as good as the British citizens would like to be. So when there are some economic insatisfaction, it is clear that the extremist fringes, or the extreme parties always get benefits. So there is several reasons. And also the fact that, as Marine Le Pen or Jordan Bardella in France, he can say, you have tried them all. You've tried the Tory, you've tried the Labour, you're still not satisfied. Why shouldn't you try us? So these are in my view, the different reasons why Farage is doing well in the polls. But also I think that much more should be done against him in the domestic debate. They've been too shy, both Tories for obvious reasons, but also Labour.
How likely do you think it is to see Farage as Prime Minister at some point?
It's very difficult to say because there is a growing fragmentation in the political and societal landscape in UK. Like in France, like also in Germany, it is not a two-party system anymore. It is a five-party system because you got Tories in a difficult position, challenged notably by reform. You got Labour, which are them too in difficult position, challenged by the Greens, which have extreme left. They are characterized by a typical extreme leftish populism in UK, but it is effective. And you got the Lib Dem, which are getting votes from both Labour and a part of the Tories, especially Labour. So with an electoral law, which is first past the post, majoritarian one round in constituency, it is very difficult to predict who is going to win the winner, and if there will be a clear winner, or if, as I think, they won't be obliged to build up coalitions in UK. The first time they had the coalition was between Tories and Lib Dem, between Cameron and David Cameron and Nick Clegg. But I think that this time too, there could be necessary to do a coalition. So it is too difficult, and also there is some volatility. In my view, it is difficult to predict. But certainly, you cannot rule out that Farage could win. But sometimes in a constituency, 100 votes, 1,000 votes make the difference.
And the pro-European parties have the facts on their side of Brexit. Do you think we could have communicated this better, these figures, like to be more consistent in showing how Brexit was a disaster and being simple in communicating this?
Yeah, there has been too shy. In London, they have been too shy in insisting on all the negative consequences brought by Brexit. And I think that now they should become much more outspoken on this.
Mm-hmm. And also in Brussels, we could have exploited this more to be more consistent with this message, or we did it enough?
Yeah, but I don't think that Brussels can have particularly influence on the outcome of the next British general elections.
No, what I was saying is that it could be a good example to strengthen the European sentiment within the European Union.
Yes, I think that we could use even more, but I think that, as I was saying before, the fact that, it is clear that things haven't improved in UK since they left, it's pretty clear to a part of the public opinion. So, but certainly we could do more, and I think we should do more in recalling what the extreme right was to say. I do it all the time. In today's politics, memory is too short, and we have to recall that Giorgia Meloni wanted the Italy exit, wanted to get out of the euro. Salvini, Grillo, Le Pen, Vox, etc., and so on and so forth. I think that because they are not reliable, because they win the election with lies, and they say one thing during the election and they do the opposite afterwards. So how can you trust them? That should be the message.
And I think these facts are totally out of the awareness of the public. And maybe there's also something like a tiredness of Brexit after 3-4 years of all Brexit discussions all over the media. So maybe the break was also needed, and now slowly people are interested again.
Yeah, now it's coming back, but certainly in general the memory of the voters is too short. So it is easier today to lie, because people tend to forget too easily and too fast, too quickly, and this is why. Also on the social media and communication, we should be very consistent, like a hammer, to recall the inconsistency, the mistakes, the promises, the false promises, the lies, etc. This is something that we have to do much more, and with very simple words.
And Sandro, beyond your passion for politics, you also have a big passion for Juventus. And
yes.
And you are being the founder of the Juventus club in Brussels. I don't know if you want to tell us more.
Yes, we have just formalized the new Juventus club, European Union Brussels. Mm-hmm. I count on all the followers to become members, because we want really to skyrocket, to have a very fast beginning. I decided to do this because I invited last year Blaise Matuidi at the European Parliament, and I didn't expect such a huge success. We had more than 350 people who came to the Parliament, a lot of kids wearing the Juve jersey, and there was a strong demand to reactivate a club which used to exist and doesn't exist anymore. It is a club which is open to everybody, so civil servant of the Commission, ordinary citizen, student, member of the European Parliament, and I think that it's the time to show that if we are very Juventini, because it is a difficult moment for our team, and it is the moment to show how much we support the best club in the world, which is the Juventus. And I hope that we will have also a first public event after summer with Giorgio Chiellini. I'm talking to him, and I hope that he will come to represent the club. But also in the immediate, I heard the participation to the Force J Cup, which will be the 19th of June. And there will be a tournament played at the Continassa, where the Juventus play train, and there will be 4 teams. One team is a member of the parliament, one team is journalist, one team is influencer, one team is entrepreneur and CEO, etc. And I have been invited to be one of these, and of course I got there because I want to win.
Of course.
Striker, defender.
I would like to play as a striker on the left side or right side. Let's see. But I'm very rusty. I'm very sporty. But the last time I played football, I think was in Brussels in another life when I used to work at the European Commission. So I think the last time I played football was 2004, 2005. So I really have to remember that the ball is round, etc. But I'll do it.
Well,
thank you very much.
No,
thanks a lot, Sandro.